So I've probably titled today's video "Don't Click" just to see how many people do go ahead and actually click the video, because what I'm trying to measure out here is how many people still care for Marvel's Avengers future. You see, in yesterday's video I was talking about the Spider-Man DLC update, etc, etc, and I mean the last couple of days, to be fair, it's been getting more real for me in the sense of really coming to that realization that although the Black Panther DLC was amazing, I don't actually think it was enough, and that's the extremely worrying part, that it may seem like it's coming to an end for Marvel's Avengers. And trust me, it honestly pains me to say that, because I was reading a Forbes article yesterday by Paul Tassi. Some of you guys are probably really familiar with him by now, and if you're not, he's basically a super cool person in the community. He writes for Forbes and he's been on this Avengers train since the beginning. Now, he put out an article because, you see, numbers matter, right? Numbers matter a lot. And what you're seeing in the background right now, in fact, let's just stop here. Before I even go into the numbers, let me just show you what was in the marketplace update yesterday. I'm sure a lot of you guys saw this. It has a lot of people genuinely wondering what the real decision was behind this. Like, whose decision was it to say, let's go ahead and just make these skins? And don't forget, they charge for this stuff as well, right? So at what point did this actually get authorized? I'm not actually sure. And you guys know I have a lot of respect for the developers of this game, in the sense of the people literally behind the scenes trying to make things work. But sometimes you do genuinely have to question some stuff, and this is exactly one of those moments. Now, this also kind of got me worried about the whole fact on, I've been going on about how skins are kind of improving, etc, etc, and then from time to time you get this big reset button that gets pushed, and you get something like this, and it's like, okay, well, what's actually going to happen after this point? Like, how many skins can you genuinely make as well that are really good? That's another really important question to really find the answer to. Now, going back on Paul Tassi's stuff, and what you're seeing on screen probably right now are numbers, right? And these are Steam numbers, so to a very small extent they're not as relevant as they probably are being used as right now, but they still do have their relevancy. The only problem with all this stuff is we technically will never know what the numbers are on console, because as far as I'm aware, there's just almost no way you can track it like we can on Steam. Now, the big spike that you will see just before August there was when the game had the free-to-play weekend. And then the little bump that you will see when the Black Panther DLC came out, you will see basically since that moment onwards has just been a slow nosedive. In fact, a slow burn towards a nosedive, which is where we're at right now. And when I was reading the article by Paul Tassi, and you got to remember, Paul's one of those guys that are like us, where we genuinely want this game to succeed, but then a lot of people had their eggs in one basket for the Black Panther DLC. I can't speak for you guys, but for me, I can actually say that was a thing. I had a lot of, I guess, hope that the Black Panther DLC was going to really bring the game back, and don't get me wrong, it did. It did in terms of content, at least in my opinion. It's super fun, but now we're going into that worrying phase, because in the article Paul went ahead and mentioned the fact that, you know, the Spider-Man DLC is of course the next DLC, which they have to make because of the deal with Sony. Even if the game was performing terribly, well, even worse than it is now, they still have to go ahead and do that, because that's the deal that was in place. That's why it's an exclusive DLC. But after that point, technically, it could be it for the game. It really, really could be. And I know you're probably going to sound a little bit confused where you hear me say that, because yesterday I was talking about the fact that we're going to get Roadmap 2.0, and that's been teased, right, for the future of Wakanda. But like I said to you guys yesterday, you can honestly read that message that they gave like one or two ways. A, the fact that there is going to be more content, and B, the fact that they mentioned that when they go ahead and do an announcement for the roadmap, etc, they want to be able to actually ensure they can commit to that rather than do a roadmap. And basically, you know, it turns out the plug actually does get pulled from the game, and now it's just, you know, completely irrelevant with what they showcase in the roadmap. So you have that element on, well, do they know that, you know, the future of this game is kind of like on I guess, a very, it's in a weird position. That's probably the best thing to say right now. It's in a very strange position, because Black Panther's DLC was incredibly anticipated. Other than Black Panther's DLC, it's just a Spider-Man DLC. Now, sure, there are other characters, I'm talking like Doctor Strange, Wanda, etc, right, where, sure, the anticipation would probably be just as much as that Black Panther DLC, but maybe a little bit less, but the point still stands. But how do we get to that point? Because the game's, you know, reliant solely on the marketplace. I don't know what the stats are either for the marketplace stuff. I don't know how many people spend their money, but I can tell you right now from a consumer perspective, and this is me just being completely brutally honest, and in fact I think most of you guys actually know the way I feel about this game right now. It's like, I don't play it anywhere near as much as a lot of you guys would probably think I do play it, and I am literally right now, like as I'm making this video, I'm only playing it for the whole element on I'm trying to get a really good build for my Black Panther, right? Same with the other DLCs. I mean, the only other DLC I really done that for was Hawkeye's. I didn't really bother too much for Kate Bishop's DLC. Again, just talking flat out as a consumer. And sure, there are times where I'll go ahead and boot up the game, like before this Black Panther DLC, and just kind of do a few runs on certain things, etc, but one thing from a consumer perspective that I'm struggling with big time is I'm actually finding it hard to play prior to this Black Panther DLC, because right now, personally, I've got like a ton of stuff that I do need to actually get done in the game, but when that stops, I feel like I'm going to go back to the same position where it's like, I want to play the game, but I don't feel like I have enough stuff to do in the game to actually play the game, and I find more joy, and I know there's tons of you guys that can relate to this next thing I'm going to say. I find more joy right now actually figuring out what on earth is going on for the future of the game, right? Because I care for the game, but I care for the game's future. I, as a player, struggle to play the game when there's a lack of content. I don't really spend a lot of money in the marketplace either. That's just me. I don't know if that's just because I'm a genuinely like type person in general. Like, I don't want to spend 15 bucks on a skin, so I don't know. Maybe that's just coming down to my sort of personal preference, but I've only done it with the Black Panther DLC again, right, because I was given like so many reasons to go ahead and do that. Sure, I went ahead and done it with a few endgame skins as well. You can get it for the challenge cards, etc, like I do that stuff, but right now, after reading that article as well, it was kind of like good to read it because it just reminds you that you're not the only one that feels that way with this game. Sure, communication is there, but you know, like I said in yesterday's video, it's like, well, you can only say so much. I'd much rather just see some stuff going down with the game, but I don't know, after seeing those numbers, which I didn't see yesterday, and then seeing it today, I just felt like I had to make this video, because I'm curious to know everyone else's thoughts on where they really see the future of this game, because that article was basically ended by saying that past the Spider-Man DLC, the future feels more uncertain now than it actually did before, and I can honestly relate to that, because at least we looked forward to the Black Panther DLC and we knew it was going to be a biggish kind of expansion. We just didn't know where it went after that, and now we know where it's going after that, so that's where we stand. Guys, I'm really eager to know your thoughts, so get in the comments below and chat to each other, talk to me. I want to hear what everyone feels, and where we can actually see this game going, moving forward. But guys, I'll see you in the next one. Till then, have yourselves a ridiculously amazing day, and adios amigos.